Tessa, the girl on a bike, and today I'm here to talk to you about rubber matting and what you should have beneath your feet in a garage. We did a lot of research in the creation of our garage, and if you want to see around our garage, check out my YouTube video garage tour and you can see everything in here. Rubber matting. It is a big decision which one you should go for or whether you actually want to go for rubber matting at all. So today I'm going to talk to you about why we went for the Duramat checker plate rubber matting and why I don't think you should go for this rubber matting, but I will tell you which rubber matting I do recommend for your garage or workshop, so stay tuned. Why did we go for rubber matting in the first place? In a garage workshop space, there's lots of different options that you can have for your floor. You could just have a plain concrete floor, you could have a resin, you could go for matting, you could have tiles. We decided to go for rubber matting for a couple of reasons. We built the garage ourselves, and getting a perfectly level flooring underneath the rubber matting just wasn't something that we were able to do. We spoke to a few different resin companies about having the floor done, and unfortunately it was outside of our budget. And also, interestingly, a lot of the resin companies don't like doing domestic jobs because they think the expectations on finish are a bit high in comparison to the commercial landscape. So what does that basically mean? Getting a beautifully flat resin concrete or concrete floor in a garage is incredibly difficult. There are a lot of industrial garage floor paints out there. However, question for you, have you ever seen a painted garage or workshop floor that looks good, and I mean a good finish, more than 5 to 6 months after it was done? Now, I've been into quite a few different Harley Davidsons, Triumph dealers, all of those sorts of places, and you know that they had a really industrial paint put down. But from my experience, I haven't found a paint that will look mint for a long period of time. We dabbled with some paints in our conservatory, which is where the bikes lived before we built the garage, and the paint just wouldn't withstand the life that we were demanding on it. So we decided rubber matting was the way that we wanted to go. We have gone for the Duramat checker plate rubber matting, and it looks incredible. If looks are the number one thing that you're after, I really highly recommend this rubber matting because it looks superb. However, there are a few reasons why I would recommend that you don't go for the checker plate, and instead you go for a more of a solid finish rubber matting, which Duramat also do. So let's talk about those reasons. Number one is that the checker plate looks amazing. However, it's actually a nightmare to keep clean. If you think about a smooth finish, you can just wipe it or mop it and the mud, dirt, oil will come up. With checker plate, you're constantly hitting the ridges in the rubber mat, which makes it actually very hard to clean. We have solved the cleaning issue by getting a wet and dry vacuum cleaner, so we're able to just chuck a whole load of water down and scrub it and suck the water away before it goes down into the cracks. But it is a bit of a pain, so cleaning it is a nightmare. We always have muddy dirt bikes in here. Next thing to think about with the checker plate is that my sensitive little knees, and probably your manly knees, don't appreciate the ridges when you're kneeling on them. And when you're working on bikes and doing stuff in the garage, I guarantee you're going to be on your knees at some point, and it's just not very comfortable. A smoother finish would make working around the bikes a lot easier. This rubber matting isn't a solid rubber matting. It's actually honeycombed on the underside, and that means that with the motorbikes, where you get a lot of pressure through the kickstand in a small surface area, we have to use blocks underneath them to distribute that weight. Otherwise it would dent the rubber matting, which isn't ideal for a garage that basically houses motorbikes. A key reason why we went for rubber matting as well is that it's quite an affordable way to give yourself a very professional, slick, look awesome finish to your garage. If you think about how much it would cost to get a perfect finish on a flooring underneath, painting it, throwing down some rubber matting is pretty economical, and it's also something that you can do yourselves. My husband and I put this flooring down. Probably took us under a day to do. You start on one straight side of the room and work your way across, cutting around any of the doorways, etc. We just used a Teng Tools very sharp Stanley knife to cut the rubber matting as needed, and it went down very, very easily. Something you want to think about with rubber matting is fluids. Fluids and rubber matting don't get on all that well. Firstly, because the fluid will go down the cracks between the rubber mats, and if you get fluid between the cracks, it can end up getting a little bit smelly as it goes stagnant, so you need to make sure that you don't get surface water on it. If you do, pull the mats up, let them dry. The other one is that because it is a rubber, it doesn't like petrol and various chemicals that you typically see in a garage. If you're quick after a spillage, it's not going to be a problem, but if you have a significant oil spill, the rubber can warp. You just need to be aware of that. We have had a pretty big fuel spill. Yeah, it was my fault, and we had to take up an area of about 6 rubber mats and let the concrete underneath dry for about probably a month before putting the rubber mats back down, and it wasn't a problem at all. Did a lot of research into different rubber matting brands, and there are certainly cheaper options out there than the Duramat, but you get what you pay for. We wanted a really good quality flooring, and so we went with the Duramat checker plate. As I've mentioned, wouldn't necessarily recommend the checker plate now that we've lived with it. So Duramat do a solid rubber mat, which has a dappled effect on the surface, but is largely smooth, so you have the non-slip properties. That's the one I would recommend, and I would massively love to swap this for it, but unfortunately we're pretty committed. So that is my take on rubber matting. I'd love to hear if you have any questions. I'm Vanessa the Gun on a Bike. Please, if you're new to my channel, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notifications, and do check out my other social channels and website. I'd also love to see what your garages and workspace look like. So please send me some messages, show me some photos.